Hello, everybody. Oh, all right, let's get going. Um, so today I'm going to be updating the back end of one of my websites. It's a COVID dashboard for my local school district, which is in Chicago, the Chicago Public School District. I made it sort of as a challenge because the school district's COVID reporting was really not great and not good to visualize. Actually, let me pull that up. Let's see which window it is. It's actually improved since I made this. I don't try to get too full of myself, but I mean, look at this. What does this even mean, right? They have things broken out just based on date, which is fine. But I don't know if they never took like a data visualization class, but line graphs are typically not used for sort of daily starting from zero data. They're used for certain kinds of trends, increasing. Either way, this ain't it. So, since back in the day, what I've been doing is grabbing their data as they release it and posting it to my website in a way that I think looks nicer. This is just, total cases, bar graphs for the weekly case numbers, sort of bubble plots in a map. This place, 17 cases in the yikes. It's all serverless. It loads these all based on just like a CSV file that I have running out of S3. And it's super cheap, right? So that's what I'm doing. One of the issues that has happened, though, is that on the last school year, they only tracked like district schools, and then at some point they started tracking some charter schools. Now, adding, I track everything based on the school ID. However, there's like 600 schools in the school district, so every time there's a case added, it sort of expands that data set by that much. And, that makes it harder for people's client browsers to load. So I've wanted to keep that to a minimum. So at first, I only tracked the district schools. Even when I noticed that they were pushing out charter school data, I didn't use that in my data set. But then some people started asking for it. So what I did a couple weeks ago was I built a small Python script that grabs their data and looks for school IDs that I don't have as a part of my data, and then gathers some data from the CPS API that grabs the like latitude and longitude coordinates, what the official CPS name is for that school, and sort of does the seed of what that would look like in my table. However, at that point, I just sort of grabbed all the ones that were current, sort of backfilled all the weeks so that the cases that they had released were accurate based on, when they released them or when they noted that the cases existed. However, what I haven't done is keep track of that. So if there are new, so it'll continue looking for cases in those schools that I added, but if like a new charter school has a case added to it, then um, my pipeline just sort of ignores it, pretends like it doesn't exist. So that's what I'm going to be changing today. What I'm going to do is use some of the code that I had built earlier and integrate it into my ETL process to incorporate every time I run my job. I run it every 5 minutes to check for new data. If it notices a new school ID in there, then what it will do is capture that school, grab the relevant information for that school, add it to my data. I guess I should alphabetize it, right? Within the rest of the data, zero everything out, and then start counting, right? So that is what my goal is. That way it can be more hands off for me, and all I have to do is nothing, right? Just let it find that data on its own. So let's see. I'll take you on a quick tour of what it's doing now. Let me collapse all these. So it's written in Python and it's run on AWS Lambda. And don't judge me if it's uglier than yours would be, because I wrote this quite a while ago, and so it is a little bit long in the tooth. Yeah, so let's see. Okay. So what it does is when it gets, when every 5 minutes, it's called by a, let me see if I can pull this up. I don't know if I can. There we go. So an event bridge scheduled event calls the function. It runs this function and then will load that data into a new CSV that the front end can display, right? So it enters into the function here with the Lambda handler. We do some logging. We download new CPS data right here. To do that, what we do is use an API call and add the start date of this current school year. They are always messing with data from historical, which would screw everything up. So I found that I'm leaving my data from the previous year sort of solidified and counting new things going forward. And that's been working well for a couple months now. So what it does is it grabs that data, converts that JSON response into this object we call fresh and returns it. This is the fresh data. And then what it does is passes fresh into an update of the old data. So there's a couple, oh my goodness, what am I doing? My face is in the way. Wasn't paying any attention. Let's get rid of that too. All right, that's embarrassing. So anyways, we're grabbing the data from CPS, their API, and we are pulling it together and passing it into this function. There's two checks here. One is to show that there's any sort of update. So for example, at midnight, when it senses that there's a new date, it has to build a new column for this CSV table that we have as our, database, our backend. And then update numbers is if there is a difference in the case numbers. And The reason is because if there are no updates to any of these, we want it to quit, right? There's no updates. We don't want to have it check for. We don't want to have it saving files every second if there's no need to save files. Next, we set the time. This is a UTC time. I shift it by the Chicago time zone, which is not always the best idea, but that's what I do. I have to change this. 6 days ago, I changed it. Zoom in here a little bit. 6 days ago, I changed it because daylight saving time switched over. All right, and then we format that into a string that we use for our database. I then download my old data. So what's probably potentially the stale data that has all the historical cases. I can show you what that looks like. Or maybe I can't. Let's see. I can show you what it looks like on a different, let's see. So here's the other thing. This is what it looks like though. It's let me zoom out on this. Make it bigger. It has all the schools, all the data, and it goes out pretty far. If we were to scroll all the days. Since I started doing this, of course this is shorter because there's digits. I started keeping track. Not these days. Let's see. At some point, it goes from doing it every week to every day. And that's when I started. I think it was like in January. Yeah, probably right around here. Yeah, 9, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is when I started keeping track. That's when the data becomes granular on a single day basis. So this is what that data looks like. So at the end, so what that one thing is checking for is seeing if this day right here, so I downloaded this a while ago, but it, minimize this, it makes this formatted date time, right? And what it does is it's going to check to see if this string is the last value on this. So it just makes sure that the database that I'm using is ready for having new data added to it. So, and then it updates things. What to do the update? It, let's see, update old DF. What it does is it iterates, so it makes a dictionary in the fresh totals, right? It takes all of the IDs, the school IDs, as sort of the hash map key value, right? And sets the total cases as the value. And that way it can, just sort of counts them all together. And then it can look through all those things. And then we compare it to what the total number of cases are that we have in this database that we have right here, the CSV file. And that worked great, right? But before we do that, what we're going to want to do is, let's see, I'm guessing that we ensures today's date. That's fine. We want that. And before we update the master list of all cases, we're going to want to check to see if there are any new schools, right? That's where in the process that we're going to want to do this. Because we want that new school to be a part of the update. Now, we sort of don't manipulate those things. We don't go through those things until we're actually in this updating the old data frame here, which is what the DF stands for. It's a pandas data frame. So what I think we should do is we're going to create this dictionary of schools. So school ID and case totals. We're going to still make that, right? But before we sort of go through and update this data frame, what we're going to do is find out whether we have cases in this new fresh data, so school IDs in this fresh data that don't exist in the old data, right? Okay, so that's what I'm planning on doing. And let me just show you real quick. If I go and grab this that I have before here. So this is something that the thing that I had built on the side as I was testing out the CPS API to actually do the way that I do cases now using their API instead of a very complicated way that I was doing it before. This is what I made to determine whether there were new school cases. So let me show you how, just in general, how this is working. I'm doing that same API call where school weekly COVID actionable, adding the start date that I use, creating that body, creating the case counter, which is essentially what that dictionary is that I had before. So we got body, and we iterate through body, and we add. So what this looks like is a JSON document with, each week has an entry. Each week in each school has an entry, right? So if your school has a case in any week, it's got week start date, weekend date. Actually, let me show you what those look like. I'll just print that out. It's going to be ugly, but we'll look at it. So I've been writing a lot in Go, and this is in Python, so this might be I might forget how to write things. So print line. So that's all of them. We're all the way to the end here, but you can see that this is where it starts. This is sort of the line block right here. School short name, school ID, the network, total case count, week start date, weekend date, close contacts count, and quarantine pods count. Don't get too excited about this quarantine pods count. It's always 0. They don't actually use it. So basically what I'm doing is taking this number and sort of summing them up, right? But what I'm concerned with is a school ID that I don't recognize, right? That's not in my data. And let's see, let's make this smaller again. Let's actually make this bigger again. So we don't want to see all that anymore. So what it does, it makes that dictionary that contains the key is the school ID, and the value of that key value pair is the school short name. So this is sort of what it would look like. I download, where is it? Somewhere I'm downloading this all CPS COVID data right there. That's my big data set. Where do I do that? No, I'm loading this dictionary into a data frame. And I'm dropping things that don't actually have a school ID. So if in case there's a value here that like was missing the school ID, then I'm not going to count it because there's just nothing we can do with that, right? And this is what I'm doing in the other thing, doing counter with this, which basically combines every thing that has a common school ID and gives a value of what the value is or cases. It's not appropriate for here though. All right, so this loads the all CPS COVID data and makes a current schools array that just has the ID, right? So this is going to be something that I want to do on the ETL pipeline of that website. I need to make sort of a list of the schools that I currently have. And why is it 3, you ask, right? So this is the first index, second, right? So this is index 3, starting 0, 1, 2, 3, that's the school ID, right? So we're basically making a Python list and we're appending each of the school IDs onto it. And then this is where it gets fancy. So case counter, if you recall, that was the list of the CPS data where the key was the school ID and the value was the school name. And I'm saying if the school ID is not in my list of current schools, like, so if it is in the list, it doesn't care, right? It's gonna ignore it. If it is a new school, right? If it's a new school, then I am going to do a couple things. I'm going to get the school location using this function, get coordinates. Let me see if I can find that. Get coordinates. So it makes an API call with the school ID and returns the school latitude and the school longitude in the first 2 spots there. And where was I? Crap. So it returns that into school location. If there's none, so this is a funny thing, and you'll see that right here. There appear to be in their data some bogus school IDs that are set to administrative but aren't actually valid. I've done a little Google search on those school IDs and they don't exist. So I have to add some error checking there. And maybe what I might end up doing is sort of hard coding in ignore these. Actually, let me see how that works. Ignore list. And we'll add, I think those are set as strings. I'm guessing they're strings. So let's see. And okay. I think this should work. All right, so this should just skip that first one, 77. Let's see how that works. No, that does not work. I think it's and. I could be wrong. Parentheses for some good luck. Still just one and. Let's try it again. Oh, maybe it's not. Okay, good. So that worked. So it got rid of that one. So we'll add these other ones to this list. So we can, and we'll add this to our code later so that we can ignore that. And then we don't have to worry about those. And what I will do is, instead of, so this is where it skips it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log that when I'm doing it in my code so that I can have some sort of logging that tells me that, you know, there's additional ones here that need to, you know, to be added to this exception list. Okay. So it gets those coordinates. Let's collapse these a little bit. So it gets the school location. School location has, you know, two, right? I keep on wanting to say X and Y, but right, it's the latitude and longitude. So what we do is we get the coordinates. If they're not none, the school ID is the key, right? The school name is the value. However, some of these, let me see. Like especially these right here had sort of like a space, hyphen space, which sort of wasn't working with what I had on my website already. So I replaced those with just a regular hyphen. That's probably not necessary, right? But whatever. And then the total cases in the new collection, those are two values. We're going to get total cases with K, right, which is the key, which is the school ID, and new collection, which is the set of new cases that we're sort of collecting here. So let's go look at get total cases. Get total cases here. Hold on. All right. Does another API call, just like the first one, where it's going to specifically get hold on. So there's two things, right? I'm currently getting cases from this school year. I've seen, and I don't know if this is going to continue in perpetuity, right? That they'll add a new school and then they'll add some old cases from before the school year. Well, I want to capture those, right? So I do a second API call to get just the schools with the start date of 2019, which of course is the beginning, right? And it will return, and this is what these lines are right here. What the week start date and end date is for those schools. So basically what I'm doing is being able to populate when I make this list right here. So let me show you the output. That's this new CSV right here. So would give you this right here is the output. It's got the, here, let me pull this out over here. So it's got the, it's going to make a list right here, and it's going to have the school name. It's going to have the school location, latitude and longitude. It's going to have the school ID, right? So same with my data. It's going to have some zeros. So these are the this is the data for the last 7 days, the last 14 days, and the last 21 days. So it's a total, sort of a running total of those values. So I'm just setting it at 0 because there's a different part of the pipeline that will modify that as it adds the new case, right? And then what it does is it adds the total cases and the pre-total cases. And what that is, it's kind of weird, right? So CPS ran out an update that broke all my stuff. And that's why I'm counting from just this new school year. And so what I have is this pre-total is the total cases from like prior to when they made that change. So last year's cases. Let me pull up that. Oh, I guess I don't need that. It's the giant one here. Right, so pre-school year 21-22 and then a grand total. So basically what my data does is it takes the total from this year, it adds it to the pre-total here, and then sees if it matches up with the grand total. It's a little bit weird, but you know, it works. So we go with it. All right. So that's how I sort of generate this data. And so these are the 3 schools right now that what I'm going to be, so these are the 3 schools that have case data that's been put out by CPS in the past, I don't know, it says here 1024, since 1024, that they have added to their data that are schools that I don't have any information about. So what we're going to have to do is work with them. Let's see here. And what this is right here is I must have made this based on the weeks because there's clearly 1 case, 3 cases. So there's 5 cases total. There's 5 cases total here. However, they're a little bit mixed up. So, all right, what are we going to do today? Now that I've explained all that, what we're going to do is using, not that, but this one, we're going to somewhere in here add that logic to add new schools, to at least to check, right, to see if there's new schools. Currently what we have is this list of fresh totals that has school ID, right? So we can sort and iterate through that. So we have a list of schools already, right? But what we need is let me get rid of some of this, collapse that back down. We need to make that list of current schools that we have, right? And I'm wondering how, if I can do this in a data frame, because the data is already in a data frame. And can I iterate through? I mean, I'm definitely going to make a function. equals, let's make some comments so that we can plan out what we're going to be doing. So we need to make list of old schools.
I can't find my tablet.
Yes?
I can't find my tablet.
You can't find your tablet. Can you ask your brothers to help you?
Yeah.
Great. Make a list of old schools. Compare a list of new schools to old schools, right? To see if there's any that are missing, right? And then as we're doing that, we'll make our list new schools, and we'll get the data on our new schools, like that latitude, longitude, etc. And then add new schools to old data. And what we'll do is we'll add those schools to the old data, and we'll just make everything 0, right? Because if this is a new school, like if it's really a new school, then what's going to happen is in these next steps, it'll go through and update those totals, right? So we should be fine there, okay? So this is us right here iterating through our old schools. This function is becoming rather large, right? So I'm going to make a new one. List of old schools, and I'm going to pass in that old df. That data frame, right? And even though this isn't quite, grab this because this is us iterating through that list in another way. We don't care about the index. All we care about is the row. Let's make the data structure old school list equals going to be empty right here, right? And we're going to old school list dot append. That means sort of add on row.
You're looking for my
Hold on just 1 second. I am going to help a child get their tablet. We have found the tablet. Don't worry, everybody. It's found. All right, so how do we re-row CPS school ID? Right. The dog's trying to get in. All right, so this should make a list of all of the rows that we have. Rows that we have here. School ID. So this should be a list. Once we get through all those rows, we will return old school list. Okay. And we'll call that, let's collapse that down now. We'll call that, guess what? Old school list equals, I forgot what we named that. List of old schools. And what did we pass in? Old DF. That's old data frame. Okay. We're not doing anything with old data frame, right? It's not being changed or anything. All right. So let's compare. Well, first let's make a new schools list. And then we're going to iterate through, what are we iterating through? Iterating through new schools or fresh totals, right? For school ID. After, yes, thank you. For school ID in, we call that fresh totals. If, and what did we do on this side? So we're essentially right here, right? Where we've got, I wonder if we should be passing. No, because I don't even know if we need the name yet, do we? Yeah, we don't have the name yet. We've just grabbed the name from other things. All right. So we only need the school ID, which is the key. From case fresh totals, I think that's fine. If, well, let's make our little ignore list, right? Okay. So this is what we're doing here. If K, which is in this case is school ID, is not in old school list, and it's not in the ignore list, then we're going to do some stuff. Let's slide this over a little bit. So this is us comparing. Slide this up here. This is us comparing here. I think, yeah, I think that we should just make that new school ID list, right? So we'll just do new schools dot append, and we'll add school ID. Okay. And we'll come out with this list of new schools. All right. I guess this is the same step right here, right? All right, so now we should have a list. Now we're gonna have to do the thing where we get all that information from the school. Check my messages. Okay. Right. Where are we? So we're left with a list. Now we're gonna have to iterate through that list for I'll tell you, when you're a little kid, having something itch is not optimal for you, is it? Can't just let that go. All right, so for school ID in new schools, this is when we're going to gather our data, right? So we're going to have school location and get coordinates. We're going to have to get that function. This is getting too long, making it hard to work with. We'll just add these up here in like a list that we need to do. Just so that it doesn't hate us. What's it mad about here? All right. So we need to deal with get coordinates. School location does not equal none. School ID is already set, right? Yep, we already have school ID set, so we don't need that. School name is, I bet something comes back in those school coordinates. All right, let's go here. Let's make this bigger again. And let's actually print out what we get besides just latitude and longitude. Because this is like school profile information. It should have all the stuff, right? So we're just going to print line. No. I bet you that's very excessive. Let's see what it says though. It's going to be big and we're going to have to parse through a bunch of it. But I bet we'll find the school name in there somewhere and we can just return that.
Daddy, there's one more thing I want to say.
There's one more thing she wants to say. Yes, what do you want to say while we wait for this?
My show is off. I want it on again.
What show do you want on?
Simon?
Simon?
Again.
You want Simon on? Could you ask your brothers to help you put Simon on?
Yeah.
I bet they could do it. All right, there we go. There's all our stuff. So, here we go. Let's just look at this one for the last one. This looks like this is the whole block here. This is all the data that comes back when you make that API call. What we want is long name. What do we want? Let's see. Which one do we like? All right, so just the short name, I'm guessing. YCC West. Short name. Where'd it go? Crap. Short name. All right. So what we want to return here, when we make this call, is going to be we're just going to call this get school info. And get school info, we're going to make return school name, latitude, and longitude, right? And that is going to be like a list here. School name is going to be school location. Well, it changes to school info. So that the it's going to return first the school name, then the latitude, longitude, school ID, which we already have. And then these numbers, right? Okay. Still got to make get school info. This is just going to be X0. So we're going to take that school name, right? And actually going to get rid of those hyphens if they have the hyphens, just like that YCC West or whatever it was had. All right, so get school, total cases. What's new collection? I don't think we have new collection set yet. We'll have to figure that out. I mean, the whole idea here, right, is that they're first disclosing these cases today, right? So I don't think we're gonna actually so part of the reason I had to do this with the pre-total and total cases and whatnot is because I was using historical data, right? And I needed to go back sometimes a number of months. But if they do that, then I'm going to report them as being reported that day, right? So I'm going to get rid of this altogether. And I am not going to worry about any of these things, right? These we're just going to make 0. I don't know how to do it yet, right? But we're going to, total cases are just going to be the current total cases. That's that. We're not going to have total cases and pre-total. I don't think we need anything here, right? Just this information. All right. So what we're going to end up with is a list of each new school, its name, its latitude, longitude, and school ID, similar to the way that we have our data set currently. And with that, I'll just add it to the bottom of my data frame, like with the old historical data. See if I can throw zeros down the rest of it. And then when it goes to update the data, it'll see that school, it'll compare the numbers, and it'll add the new case numbers to the appropriate place. All right. Else, this is when, wait, where did I just remove that from? Oh no, yeah, I'm doing it right. Let me pull up that other one. Ooh, that's ugly now. Clear that. Okay, let's see. So we need to make, so we'll come back to this. You know, we could add some logging here that says something like added school or something like that. Put this back tab. We don't need that right now. We'll figure that out in a second. All right, so get school info is up here. We pass in the school ID and we're going to return those things. All right. So let's pull this down. This is going to be sort of the same. School info. We're going to keep that school info, and we're going to change this to result. Okay. Going to make that, and it's kind of annoying because there's lines here. Let's dump this down. School info. We don't need to print that. I don't think so. Just get rid of it. We're going to return line. Shoot, what did we decide that was? Short name? I can't trust it. Run it again. Grab it. Be sure about it. Short name. All right. Good. So we should returning school name, latitude, and longitude at index 0, 1, and 2. And that should be all we need to do. We don't need that. Right. All right, so let's save that. Get school ID, and we'll come back down here. We're making that list, right? New schools with that information. Should we do anything if, all right, and then this would be the school info equals none is like these guys right here. Let's log that in some way. I forget how I log it. Logger info else. All right, so skipped. School ID. So that should log that we've skipped that school ID. Okay. Okay, where are we at now? So we've now created a list with that relevant information using the CPS API to find information on that new school. Good. Now what do we need to do? We need to add that to our data frame, right? Okay. This is going to take a little bit of Googling. I don't think I need this anymore. Let me pull up add roach data frame. All right. I think it might just be append. My only question is that when I add these to the bottom of my data frame, will those values just be empty, right? We'll just see. We'll just see what happens when we add a thing to a data frame. Oh no, this always asks me to log in. I don't see it. It's a great website sometimes, but then also terrible and annoying. All right. So let's add the new schools to the old data. So old DF. So we're gonna resave it as old DF. Gonna sort of overwrite over it. Equals old DF dot append new school. I don't know if that's gonna work. So this is suggesting, let's see what this means. The difference between ignore index little. All right, well, but then we want to ignore index equals false. All right. So let's try that. But what we're going to want to do is actually iterate through this list, right? This new list that we have, new schools. So we're going to say for new school in new schools. So that means that what we're iterating over is new schools right here, and we're making each of those items that we're hitting new school. We're going to add that to old DF. All right, that should work. We'll see. And now we're gonna do that stuff. So this was put here in the event that because I have a new set here, sometimes the numbers weren't there from before. That's becoming increasingly unlikely, as like basically every school has one. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and see how this works. I think I'm most of the way there. What I do need to do, what I do need to do is turn off some things so that I don't spam out to production. And what that will require is a couple things. Let's just update old totals. No. Update old data is like the major one. There it is. Okay. So I'm still going to be pulling from my current values, right? I'm going to be trying to update things. But one thing I don't want to do is change my data in production, right? So I'm going to be changing these to something else. I'll get rid of, just comment that out. Just comment that out. Let me pull up my S3 console, my buckets. So this is where all that lives in data. I have some sort of test values. All CPS COVID data. I had more of these. I'll just call it 1, right? For test. Let me actually copy and paste that, comment the real one out so that I don't mess it up later. Test. All right, so this is just going to save it to a new file here that I can delete later. I am not going to export HTML. This is how we make the new page of the updated schools. We are not going to send out an email to me. We are not going to invalidate the cache. We are not going to send a tweet, but we can log those things. We can do that. That'll work. And we're not going to do this. What is this? Okay. We don't need to do that either. All right, so this should be able to run all those things without actually, typically it takes from, these files and then overwrites those files. If we look at this all CPS data file here, and we look at versions, we see that there's hundreds of versions because every time it runs, and every time that there's a change, oh, you're back. Did your brothers put Simon on for you?
They put it something else on. I really like it the Havens, and it's with the animals they catch.
Octonauts?
No, they don't. They catch and they put it in a little. She's beautiful.
She's beautiful, and she catches animals.
She catches the little mean guys. Like they have magic wands. They spell to someone, and then they do.
I don't know that. I don't know
At
that.
the Hayden.
Yeah, but I wasn't there. I didn't watch it with you. Hold on one second. Turns out she was watching it already. She just wanted me to see. It's too quiet or something. All right, anyways. So it saves it to that version, but what I'm going to be doing is saving it to a new version. So let's, just to make sure we're not going to mess anything up, I'm going to double check to make sure that we're not like exporting anything. And I don't think we are, because we're not calling, we're logging some things. We're making our strings that I send to myself and tweet out, and saving old DF just as a new file name. All right, let's try it. Save. What do I have to do? I don't have oh, geez. All right, let's how do I get out of a virtual environment? I forget things sometimes. Deactivate. All right. I might have to have Docker loaded. What is this scrap? Oh, SAM build. So I am using a server or a service called called SAM, which is the let me pull up a window, which is the serverless application model, and basically what it does is helps you build serverless things. So it uses this, where is it? This template to, make the things that you want to make. And right now it's building this application inside a container within my computer. And then what I will do is I will locally invoke it. And what should happen is, right, so I'm going to SAM, not there, SAM local invoke, and then I need to make sure that I invoke the right thing. The CPS COVID update function. You know, I have this new operating system that I'm running, new for me, called Pop OS, and it is an adjustment with like copying and pasting and stuff. All right, so I'm going to run that. It's going to build that image some more. I don't know, it should build the image. Oh, well, it's in the container. So it's running that, and what we should see is, I mean, it'll potentially log some things, and then it will output that file, and it might cause a bunch of errors, but we'll see. You know, for example, it's comparing some numbers to some other things, like, you know, and if there's not a zero there, maybe it can't do that, right? So if we may need to, especially right here, maybe put some zeros, right? Okay, error message. All right, so it made its way to process our cases, and it got stopped at, yep, append old school list. Okay, where are we here? Old school list. Right, so doesn't like this. I don't even know what that means. This does not bode well. Let's do a quick use the Goog real quick. If I could spell, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Add value in data frame list. So this is what I have right here. Right, old school list, append row. Oh, long. Oh, because I'm in data frame already. Just to check myself, we could print that row. Print row, and then we'll copy and paste that here and print row. CPS totals ID. So what we're doing here is just checking to see sort of what comes out there before that error message. So what's happening is the errors right here. We're going to see the row. We should see that first school. Oh, you know what? We don't have. No, it should be fine. It should skip. It should skip that index. Let's see. Oh, looks like they're saying I don't even need to. Looks like I don't even need to iterate through that, right? Let's stop that and do what they're suggesting, where we say old school list and then equals old df CPS school ID. And then we're going to go to this. So it looks like it's something within pandas that just should take that whole column and make a list out of it. All right, let's try that. And in the event, let's just try it. All right. So we're going to have to say and build use container again. Should go faster this time. And then we'll do that same thing where we invoke it locally and we'll see what kind of errors we get. These things can take some time. But it's basically creating that Docker image that's going to be pulled in by the Lambda. So it's a really good way to be testing it because you're never going to be surprised, right? All right. Okay. That's great, guys. Okay. So we logged what we skipped. That's good news. I mean, not great news, right? But it captured those three, right? Where did we? Okay, so we know that if it's skipping these three, and these three are the ones that we're going to capture, that means that we know that it's making this list. All right, so we can feel good about what we're doing here. I wonder if I could consolidate this down, right? But I'm not going to worry about it. What I'm guessing is happening right now is that I am skipping this school ID because, well, no, I'm getting this information back, aren't I? All right, let's see where it says skipping school ID. There we go. If school info does not equal none, then we're going to, oh, this is why. We're not actually, this needs, oh, hold on. So I don't know if you've noticed this, right? So it's saying skip the school ID. So it's making it in through here. It has the three schools that we're looking for. It's getting this information that we're interested in, even to the point where it's, changing the hyphen in here, right? So we're doing really good. The question is, why is it thinking that the school info equals none, right? Because clearly, why does it think school ID is that information? Let's think. Um, why does it think for school ID in new schools? So this should just be the ID. School info should have that stuff. If it equals none, or somehow we're setting let's print um okay, so it's going to print this whole index. It should, get gradually bigger. And that should tell us some things, but let's also look at the error message. Um, I can't see what it's happy about. Day total, unhappy about. Cannot concatenate objects of type int. All right, so I mean, I think that it actually is adding these things, but for some reason it's also doing this else. Um, which I don't understand. I'm wondering if that's just because it was tabbed over too much. Either way, let's build it and run it again while we think about what we have there as our error. Part of me wants to run this in like a compiled language like Go to make it real speedy. Save my compute, though it's not terribly expensive. All right. Just for fun, let's see. I mean, I don't think it'll have saved that file anywhere. There shouldn't be a new. Yeah. All right, so it's it's definitely coming in here, right? Because it is, it's showing what is it printing? So it's printing, I said print new schools, right? New schools. New schools should be empty. Oh. Oh. Okay. That's the problem. We've got new schools and we are making that, we need to make a new school data. All right. That's our problem, is that we need to use a different thing. Because we're adding stuff to it, right? We're adding this long list of stuff to these lists, right? And then we're then trying to check them for that information, and it doesn't exist, right? It's pretending like this is a school ID and it's not. All right. I'm really happy that we figured that out. We still got problems, right? But we're going to go ahead and build this. Well, let's see. Let's just make sure. We're new school data, new school data. That should just sort of stack onto it. Else print school ID. We should get it for in new school data. All right. So this might actually solve our problem too, because we're using the right structure to add that. So let's see. I would potentially have like music in the background to make the waiting more tolerable, but the problem is that I don't know anything about what happens if somebody does like a copyright claim or something like that. All right, so good. So what we're logging, we're not logging anything anymore, right? This stuff where we were logging those schools is gone, which is good. We're printing new school data every time we add a school, which is good. So we have the first one, and then we have to see the first one and the second one. So we're like watching as this builds. All right, so we can get rid of this. That's all happening correctly. It's happening correctly. However, we have an error. I don't know. What's this? I mean, my guess. I'm gonna see what happens when I add some zeros here. Because this is the three, the lagging days, and then those days, old and new totals or whatever. And I'm wondering if it's trying to like do some math with these numbers and just can't. I think that that's something that I'm going to have to do anyways. So I'm just gonna do it. Because there's stuff like some, like there's things in this error that's suggesting to me that there's something amiss. However, why don't we refresh this? Is there a refresh button? Refresh. Let's see if. No, there's no. So what we're looking for is all CPS COVID data test at some point. Because remember what it's doing is it's totaling things up, is having to reference some numbers, and if it's just an empty cell, it probably doesn't do that. Now, what happens if those are all just empty, right? I have no idea, right? So we'll see. Sometimes it's fun to just see. It's the way that you learn how things work, is by breaking them. All right. This is all right, let's think. So it's getting through here. It's adding those schools. It is now add some logging in here. Just to see where it's screwing up, right? It has some like line information here, but it's not always helpful because it says, because it'll be talking about what line of the like pandas data frame stuff that's being messed up. So let's see. Okay, so we're gonna print new school. We're gonna try to add new school. And then we're going to, so this should be adding it to the end. And I think, I know that there is a command. Where you can just print the end of a data frame. So we'll say print old df dot tail, and we'll print the last 5 rows. All right. So what this should do is it should show us what we're going to add, and then show us that we've added it, if in fact we can add it. So we'll see if we make it that far, and if we don't, we'll add some more troubleshooting within here to figure that out. And you know what? I also probably need to add I wonder if I need to add the length. So another number that doesn't exist, right, is that last number with the day with 0 cases. Let's invoke that.
Why not giving me a way to it?
All right, so this is good news, right? So this is showing us the line that we're going to be adding, right? And unfortunately, then we're saying show the last. Interesting. It's adding way more than we think it should. It's adding it in the wrong direction, right? So one step we add it and it ends at index 589, right? And then it ends at 98, right? So that is 9, right? 9 lines. And if we go look, I bet we are adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So instead of adding it like across as a row, it's adding each of those as like a new row, which we do not want. Which is not at all what we want. So let's look at that and see what we can do about that. Because it's adding, okay. So let's find out where we're going wrong there. Oh, this is the website. It bothers me with its pop-ups. I don't want to replace. Let's see. Okay, let's I'm gonna print. All right, so we don't want to see this anymore. You know what's happening. It's long. I'm gonna print length of the old data frame. Because I think that no, maybe not. I'm trying to see if I could just like insert into the row that I want, like the last row. Insert list as a column, insert list as row. Let's see. I think, yes, I think this will be more. Gotcha. All right, that's what we need. This is exactly what we need. We have what we're looking for. We're gonna get this back. Remove this. Get rid of this totally. All right, so we're gonna say old df And so this is the old DF at the location. Old DF. So this is at the location of the newly made last row, right? Because remember the index is 0, so the length is always going to be like one more than the last index. And we're going to add, we're going to make that new school. All right, we're going to try that now. I think that will, it says we can do this append, but to append 5, 6. Oh, I see. Index equals D. So there's like a missing step there. Well, we'll see if this works. Again, I don't know if it's going to populate everything with zeros. We'll see. We'll try. That's all we can do is try. What time is it? 4:11. You know, the time change is really killing me. It's like dinner time in my brain. Local invoke that. I mean, I don't expect it to work because, like I said, that last row should have some stuff in it, but we'll see what it look. Oh, cannot set a row with. Okay, so this is good, right? This is good because our mismatched columns are that this, that we're adding is 99, right? A ton of stuff. And that's not going to do it, right? We need to add zeros all the way down. So what we'll do is we need to add those extra zeros on here, don't we? So let's say new while we're going to say while the length of new school is less than the length of old DF, and this isn't right because we need to find out how many rows it has. Let's pull that back. Total rows and columns. Let's see, number of rows, lang df dot columns. All right. So here's what we're doing. While the length of this, which is currently 9, and I can just get rid of these now, right? Because we're going to take care of this ourselves. Those zeros don't matter much. While the length of that is less than the length of the whole thing, we are going to just append a 0 onto it. It's kind of dumb, but it's only going to happen every once in a while, right? New school dot end append 0. That should give us that length that we need. We'll see. Well, we'll see if it gives us that length that we need. All right. Build, use container. Making some dinner plans. All right. I think we're getting real close though, because honestly, once this is we know that it's adding. Once we know that it adds with all the zeros, that should be it, right? That should be all that we need to do. Every time it comes across a thing, it should. I think this is our last step. Famous last words. There it is. It's made those columns correctly. It's gone all the way out. It's worked. It worked. That was it. Made them go all the way out. It added them. Of course, they're at the end. It's not alphabetized. I think that's a thing that we could figure out. And then it gave me the things that I look for, right? So this is the string that I tweet out. So it would say new cases 5, and we saw that. Schools affected 3. Cumulative for today, view the list, right? And then it sends me an email. Let's look at our bucket here and refresh it. And there we see test. Let's look at it and open it. And if we go all the way to the bottom, we see these guys. We see that it's added 5 cases. Yeah, 5 cases. And so many in the past, so many days. We go to the end, we see that it's added those. Oh, and another one. Oh, that's just from today. So Young must have had one today. All right. So it's essentially done. Now, I think the only thing that's left to do is to sort this list now so that everything goes in order, right? We don't want Chicago down here when somebody's like searching on their, the stinking iPhone. Like scrolling through those numbers is horrible, I've found. So being able to type will be helpful, like on a desktop, but let's just look up. My kids are yelling at each other. Sort. Let's see if I'm sure that there's a super easy way to do that. Sort by index or string or whatever. Okay, so let's pull up our code again. And then the last thing we're going to do right here after we hold on.
What is this?
What's that? Oh, it's an old one. It doesn't work. You want to play with it like a toy?
Yeah.
Perfect. We're just going to sort that. So old df equals old df dot I'm guessing that I can just sort
That was my old one.
Great.
Look it. It totally fits.
Oh, it's a really old one. Yeah, it fits. Do you want to play with that one? I don't think it's charged, honey.
It's hard.
All right. Let's see. So data frame equals data frame data, which is a data frame. Okay, so this is just loading it. Sort values by in place equals true. Okay, so we're gonna do sort. I think we need to make it a new one. Sort values by equals, and then we're going to be doing it by school name, right? Let's make sure that that's right. Where's my other? Let's just see what that looks like. Got too many things going on here. What was that called? Just school. All right. School. Sort by school. And I don't know what this in place means, but let's just do it. And then we're going to print that out. Remember, like we did before. So we'll do it before, and then we'll do it after. And we'll remove this, and remove that. So that way we'll see sort of what happens before and after that sort, so that we can verify that those sort of disappear out of there. And once we do that, all that should happen is every single time that there is a new school added to the list, then it should add to the data, and we will be set. I need to refactor this though and move some stuff out of here, because these functions are a little bit ridiculous in how big they are. And then again, I mean, I could do something like, if this, add these to a list and send it to myself or something, but it should skip that, every single time, and it should not be a terribly onerous process. There it is. There it is. All right, so before it was, so first it was these last three before Zapata, and then it has Zapata at the end. And let's see, YCC West would be towards the end, but we didn't go far enough, but it should still be there. Ooh, or maybe not. Where is, it's gotten rid of them. So this right here is ending at row. Or maybe it's just moving them. Let's see. I don't like at all if it's keeping those indexes there, but maybe it doesn't matter. Oh, my dog's drinking some water. It's gonna get loud. Probably already is loud. All right, let's go look at that data again. Download it again. All right, we got West there. It's there. It goes down to, okay, so imagine we got an index 0, and then we got a heading. So that looks fine. It looks fine. We did it. Everybody, good job. Let's see. We'll see that West has one case. And what was the other one that we added? Is it Sullivan? Yep, Sullivan added 3 cases. Sullivan, 3 cases. Hold on, I have to see. All right, so I think we're set. The only thing that'll be left to do is that I'm going to be falsely claiming that these cases are being found on this day, right? At some point this week, tomorrow, today, sometime.
I hugged Marshall.
You hugged Marshall. That's so nice. Marshall's the dog. At some point, I'll go back and change those. Actually, I won't change those. What I'll do is
Come on with me.
add those where they should be, right? Because we have right here. Let's see. Let's get rid of this, and let's get rid of this, and let's pull up. Where's the other one? This one right here. So remember, this one told us what dates some of these were happening on, right? Or maybe they didn't. Maybe we need to find them out ourselves. Let's just find them out ourselves. By, what is this? Yeah, this is a different thing I was doing. All right, so what we're gonna do is, instead of combining them, first of all, we're gonna get rid of this. It's excessive. And we're going to, so these are done based on week. I don't want that. What I want is, so what this is should be doing is going through each one. And so what I'm going to do is uncommenting out this. And getting rid of the rest of these because I don't know if I really care. And where are we printing that out? Why are we printing that out? So this should give us the actual dates of all of those cases. Chicago Collegiate was on the week starting. Let me pull this back up here. I would like to. I don't know if it's possible. That's what I want. All right. So, why? Why are you doing that? Right. Either way, I'm going to pull it on a different screen. Get out of here. You guys just won't be able to see it. All right. So, let's see. Control over here. All right. So YCC S West has a case 11-7. So this is the week starting 11-7. All right. So I need to lock. Oh, that's this week, right? Was I recording week start or weekend? Just gonna make sure. Because I care, you guys. I care. Week start 7. That's this week. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I found it today. It's here today. That's fine. YCC West. You are free to move about the cabin. Let's lock. These grand totals are going to stay the same. What's the other one? Chicago. This is frustrating. My terminal keeps disappearing. There it goes. Okay. Collegiate is also on. Wait, no. Yeah, okay. Both Collegiate, Chicago Collegiate, and Sullivan both have one case each, and they are both this week 11-7. Sullivan. YCCS Sullivan is the only one I need to worry about. And it has cases, not 3 here, but let's see, the week of 10/24, the week starting 10/24, and the week starting 10/31. So let's find not 11. Is that 11th? 10/31 is the week starting here, right? So we're going to have 10/31 this week starting. So this would be 1, 2, let's say. Let's just assume that they released it at the end of this week instead of on this day, because that's so 7 days from here. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. We'll put a 1. No, this is where the 2 is. This is read only. Edit document. Okay. So we'll put the 2 there for that week. And then 10/24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 1 here. All right. And 0 here. Now, the only thing that's going to be wrong is this information here with the totals of the day, right? Of the week, last 2 weeks, and last 3 weeks. But the next time, like any data changes on anything, like as it goes through and updates, if there's ever a change, it will correct that. So I'm just going to leave that there. And then what I'm going to do is save that as all COVID data. Save it. I don't know what this means. No, I'm going to use CSV. Okay. And I'm going to upload that to, well, I'm not going to upload it yet. I'm going to have to deploy this to production. Not that. Close that. That's right here. All right. So now that we know this works, let's get rid of some of these comments that we don't need anymore. We don't need these things. I think I'm going to go through here later and tidy some of this up. You don't need to watch that. All right. I don't know what that means. Okay. So now what we need to do is instead, we're still going to be pulling from the same place. We're going to be getting rid of this. Uncommenting out these friends. Uncommenting out these friends. Uncommenting out these friends. All right. And we'll be deploying this. We got to build it and deploy it again. Let's do that. I think that should handle everything. All right, let's do it. Build it. And so again, that does the update at every 5 minutes. And so what I'm going to do is send that out. And should I hold off on the tweets and stuff in the meantime? So this is where I need to sort of figure out how I'm gonna balance it, right? So I'm just gonna say Sam deploy. Hold on, puppy. Real close.
Go get it.
I'm gonna wait until that time hits for 440.
But I want to play ball with you. I want a ball, and then you get it to me, and what's me?
Ooh, I know what I can do to make this nicer too. Let me pull up that file again. Once I think is where it is. Since this information is from today, for I don't care. What were those schools called?
Wait, what?
Wait, where is it? Oh no, this is a different one.
Whoa! You didn't want to go with me.
Maybe it's not in downloads. Oh, there it is. It was in my documents folder. Right. So right now it is 4:40. So that is running. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy that. It will not
I have something
run
to
for another 4 minutes. And let's open up this and find. Yeah.
Gotcha!
Was it West? Was it West?
Gotcha! Gotcha!
Hold on. So we're gonna wait. Why do these have numbers? These shouldn't have numbers, should they? Did it just sort those? Oh my god. That's not what we want. Oh shoot. It's already changing it. Alright, let's get in here and get ready to just make it bigger. Oh my god. So what I need to do is just make sure that this doesn't kick off. So I'm gonna go to Event Bridge and make sure that I turn that off before it runs again. Where's my rules? Enabled, so we'll be disabling this as soon as this is done. All right, it successfully created it. So we're going to go in here and we're going to disable that. So now it shouldn't update. Thank goodness we've saved the day. Because the question is, why on earth are those numbers that way? Let me, so we built that in a container. Let's run it locally again. Shit, I shouldn't have done that. Oh boy. You know why I shouldn't have done that? I'm working too fast. I'm thinking too fast. I'm not making good choices. Because it is, wonder if I could kill it. Because I don't want it to tweet anything out. Let me keep an eye on my email and my Twitter. My email somewhere else. I told you not to do this anymore. All right. My goodness, how many times can I tell you to stop tiling the windows? Okay. So I've disabled this, so it's not going to run automatically, but if I invoke it on its own, right, it's gonna run. So I don't want that. Let's go back to S3. When I built that, it had all the like tweet things and all that stuff in. So I'm gonna keep an eye on my phone to see if it actually does update, because what I don't want is for it to have sorted that stuff. And I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not paying attention good. But if it sorted this in such a way that it didn't sort other things with it, which I don't think is right, right? I just open it. problem is that West, right? Isn't that the one that just got added? Has all this other information here. Why does it? I don't think it should. Right? It it has one case, right? This is what the case number is. If it has one case, it should not have one case in the past 7 days, two and five. Like that's not right. That is not right. And the question is, why is it doing that? I don't know. And so that's not okay for that to be sent out as an update. Let's look at some drama llama going on. Let's look at so it's not including any of this other stuff. Let's look and see where this data is coming from. It's pulling it from here. So let's pull up this. Just open it. All right, so 125 is Zapata. And let's compare. Oh, my kids are going to start fighting. Oh my God, where is this file at? Somehow I've changed the size of a window. That is not helpful. Okay. Let's pull this in here. Shrink it up. I don't want it to be a sliver. This is, there we go. This is the worst program I've ever used in my life. All right. West has this information. All right, so what I was concerned about was that 125 here is the same as Zapata right here, right? I mean, that's a reasonable thing to be concerned about. Oh my God, why are you up here now? It's testing me. It's testing me. Okay. So this is the current data that's out in production, right? And maybe I just need to why would this ruin everything? Why are all these numbers different? These match up. These match up. These match up, right? It's not as if West is like out of nowhere, right? But why does it have all this crap right here? There's no reason for it. And for Young now to suddenly have 0, I mean, I guess it's possible, right? No, it's not possible because if there's 1 in 7, like 7 days, there wouldn't be 0 in, a day later at most, right? What's happening? All right, let's look at the code. Let's look at the code. Look at this. What's going on here? We don't want to need to print this when we send it out production, right? So it should be doing all this stuff, right, correctly before it sorts everything. And then it should just be treating this the way that it would treat anything. All right, let me get this back out into let's just test it. So it's not running it, let's test it. And so let's run this again. Now that this is rebuilt, we're going to try it again. And we're only going to I just wish I knew why this was happening. It's changing those around. So this is where it's happening. It's sorting by school. So let's see what in place means. Let's invoke it locally now that we have those other things out of the way. What are we looking for? Sort. I'm sure they have the So we'll look at that in place equals false. So we'll see what in place means. Well, that's not helpful. You know, it could be that the I know what it is. I know what it is. It's iterating through the indexes and I need to add this ignore index because I don't want to sort the index. I want to leave the indexes behind. What was that? Ignore index. I think that's what I need. I'm going to build that again. We'll look at there's all these. We'll look at this data. Just open it and view it. West has those numbers right there, right? Which we do not want. Let's close out of it. See how our code is running. It's done yet. It's still building. Invoke it. All right, let's go look at it now. I should change the time. It was at 55 before. Now it is at 58. Okay, so let's open that and see. Yeah, there we go. 111. Those are still at the bottom. Okay, so what it was doing was shuffling those indexes. Gotta leave the indexes in place. Great. All right, so let's edit this document. Remember that the only one that we need to worry about is Sullivan. Is that right? Sullivan is going to be the one that has some cases. So I'm going to get rid of Truman's because we're going to be adding Truman, right? I'm going to make it 0, right? In fact, let me get rid of, not Truman. I did that wrong. Get rid of that. Don't save. So I'm going to grab this test data, and open it. Now that it's right, I'm going to edit it. And remember the 2 schools. Those, I don't want that. I already closed out of it. West, right? Delete it. Delete it. I'm going to have it added, and I'm going to have it post about it, right? Delete rows. And what was the other one? Chicago Collegiate or something like that. Chicago Collegiate. And just to make sure, we'll make sure that that is a 1 at the end. All right, so we'll remove Chicago Collegiate. We'll delete the rows. And the other one, right? Sullivan. Somebody trying to ask for. Here, do you want this? I've been taking longer to do this than I should have. We don't want 0 there. Where did we? I need to open this. I'll pull this up again. I got rid of it. I wonder if my terminal's still here. That'd be really nice if it was. Main again, and it should give us those dates, right? All right, so Sullivan, we remember was, hold on, lock these. View these rows and columns. All right, so Sullivan. And we are adding this at the week ending 31/10/31. So let's go to Sullivan. Find 10/31, and then that was the week start. So say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that was, hold on, it's 2 cases. 2 cases there. Right, and the other one was 10/24. 10/24. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 1 case there. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to save this as documents, all CPS COVID data. Overwrite it. Yes. Text. All right. And we're going to upload that to S3 here. We're going to overwrite what we got there. Now again, these are versioned, so if I screw it all up, I think I need to just to make sure that people can read it. Upload. Okay. So that's done. So now what we need to do, that this is settled. Hold on. All right, we're real close to being done. My kids are getting antsy. I mean, we are hitting 3 hours, aren't we? All right, so now that we know this is actually working now the right way, because we've run it locally, we are going to delete this, Control X, uncomment out these things, uncomment out these things, uncomment out these things, and build it one more time. Right, so now we have that file out there that it's going to pull from in the first place that has that Sullivan data. We could check to see if it has that Sullivan data first. Should we do that? So there's something that I need to do called invalidate cache. Where is this? Validations. So these, I'm just going to do all of them. Copy to new. So all this does is remove these pages if they're being put in like an edge location, like a data center that's closer to where you are. And then once that's done, I should be able to open up CPS COVID and C Sullivan. So we'll do that. And and the best part is that as it goes through and adds those things, it'll fix the trailing information. Let's see. Right, so let's see. Sullivan. Oh, that doesn't work. Right. YCCS Sullivan is there, right? It doesn't have it. Oh, it doesn't have any cases because this is populated by something else. But it's there, which means it's pulling that data, and that'll be fine. Right, so it's there. That data is updating. We're good there. All right, so let's run this. Push it out. Sam deploy. So this should push it out. Let me check it one last time. This should push it out, and that should fix that rule and activate that rule again. And it shouldn't matter to us when it runs, right? Because that one set is still there, and then the other stuff that I'm adding can be added as if it was today. So if all goes according to plan, and this happens nice and quick, in the next 2 minutes, I should be sending out a tweet that says that there were 2 new cases added, one at Chicago Collegiate and one at YCCS West. And adding that to all the data. If this can get out in the next minute before it triggers, then we'll have to wait 5 minutes, which I really don't want to do. It'd be real nice if this was just real quick. Tell the person who's waiting for me that I'll be there in a minute. All right, come on, come on, come on. So it has to replace that rule and activate it. I think those rules actually take a while. I might not make the deadline for it happening at 5:10. We'll see. Oh, it worked. All right. I'll keep an eye on Twitter and my email. And we can also look at this. We can watch it as it runs. It should be running now. This is taking a long time. Either way, it should have updated probably by now. So this is because it wasn't happening when I turned it off, but it should be happening now. Let's refresh it. We should see a spike. Oh, maybe we missed it. Hello.
Nope.
Yeah, we missed it. Maybe I can just invoke it on my own. Should we go ahead and run it? See what happens. And it succeeded. Two new cases. I just got my email. Let's look at the site. If we look at the last update here, we should see, there it is, Chicago Collegiate and YCCS West. Clicking on it. Well, that's not nice. Should have that case here. We might have to work on some of that. Huh. I wonder if it's just, let me open a incognito window and look. It might have cached that in my local. Yeah, okay, good. That was just a local thing. A local file was cached locally. So that is there and it's all worked. All right, so now we're running and we even did it with some stuff that wasn't present, and now we know that it all works. Any new schools should be magically added. All right, that's all I wanted to do today. That's been updated and very exciting. All right, I'm out of here. Take care, everyone.